Well, ladies and gentlemen, Apple just reported some phenomenal earnings, some very, very strong earnings. So what I want to do with you guys here today is we're going to go through all the numbers that I think are very important to look at in regards to Apple. Then I'm going to get into my take on all these different numbers, if I'm going to buy any Apple shares out there, if I'm going to sell off any Apple shares or any plans like that. I'm wearing my bucket hat today, which you know what that means? That means we're making buckets of money out here, guys. It is a very, very good day out there. So let's get into all of this in regards to Apple. By the way, it's the last day you can get in my stock market membership group for half price. It's the first link down there in the description. Enter code half off at checkout. It'll take half off the price of the first month, every month after that, last day. So if you want to get in my private stock market membership group, you should probably get in there now. So first off, Apple stock, it's up around 3% after hours. It's flirting with its all-time high. There's a very good likelihood that if the conference call is strong, if it's a really strong conference call, there's not much weakness in that conference call, and people get pretty bullish, it's a possibility that this stock could maybe hit a $1 trillion market cap tomorrow, but it's just going to depend on how that conference call goes and how much money flows into Apple stock. But as far as the numbers, very, very strong numbers. So revenue came in at up 17%. That is a big number there, guys. When you think about Apple and the type of numbers they're reporting already and how big this company is, to have revenue up 17%, this is very big for the company. EPS was up 40% for this company, okay? Think about how big Apple is, okay? This is a company that's almost $1 trillion market cap. They just did an EPS rise of 40%. Think about the profits this company already has coming in. Absolutely unbelievable. And EPS was expected to only be up around 30%, which is still amazing. So to come through at 40% plus, guys, it's just a sick number, sick number. So revenue split, about 40% was in the US, about 60% international. If you think about Apple historically, it was mostly a US-based company, okay, in terms of where their sales were coming from. This is a company now that is well diversified around the world. They've gotten a lot of growth from a lot of places. So now they're about 40% US and about 60% international. They can probably get to a place someday where they're about 30, 70 or somewhere around there. China revenue was up 19%, okay? So China grew faster than the company as a whole. Something I'm gonna bring out to you real quick that people have never understood about Apple and China. They've always looked at Apple and China as like, oh my gosh, like Apple won't be able to grow that much in China because, you know, the Chinese, they might want cheaper smartphones or something like that. What you never understand and what people refuse to understand is that in China, the smartphone is their everything device, okay? So in the United States of America, you know, someone like myself, I own obviously an iPhone, I own multiple iPads, I own multiple Macs, I have TVs, everything, okay? In China, it is not like that at all, okay? A lot of people only have a smartphone, okay? So they put all the money that they would spend on all these different electronics all into their smartphone. So when Apple comes out with a $1,000 smartphone, the way the Chinese look at that, they look at that as, well, this is my everything device. It is worth it, okay? It is worth it. So that's something that people have never understood about Apple in China. All I've ever heard about Apple in China is how, oh, some cheaper smartphone's gonna hurt them and this and that. And all Apple has done year after year is have amazing growth, amazing growth. Because if it's your everything, you wanna have the best, man. You wanna have the best, and iPhone 10 is the best, okay? So that's a big thing there. iPhone revenue was up 20%, but here's the most impressive thing about that. Units were only up 1%, okay? Think about that for a second. Units only up 1%, but iPhone revenue up 20%. Why is that? Because ASPs on iPhone have exploded since iPhone 10 came out. Much higher price device. And if you look at it from Apple's perspective, does Apple really care if they get the more revenue from selling cheaper iPhones or more expensive iPhones? Apple would much rather sell much more expensive iPhones, the highest of the highest end devices, and get their revenue coming in that way rather than cheap down and just have a bunch of cheap smartphones out there, guys. So that is very big there, okay? Services continues to explode, up 31%. Up 31% in the quarter, guys. That's a second straight quarter that they've grown at over a 30% clip. Now, I do not think that is sustainable long term unless they come out with some type of unbelievable video service like a Netflix or something like that. I do not think that number is sustainable long term. I think maybe for the rest of this year, they can be somewhere around there. I think next year would be somewhere around a 20% clip or so. But once again, if they could come out with something that's a competitor to Netflix, they could keep those type of growth rates up for a long time. Other products up 37% for the quarter, very strong. That's things like, the Apple HomePod, anything that's, like headphones and things like that, okay? iWatch or Apple Watch or whatnot. So that category is still a fast growing category, and that's getting to be a bigger and bigger chunk of the pie now, because this is now, they did close to $4 billion in that category in the last 90 days, all right? So this pie is getting bigger. This pie is now their second biggest pie, and they're increasing at a rapid rate, and still their biggest pie is growing rapidly as well. So unbelievable company, all right? Dividend is going to be paid on August 16th to, I think, shareholders as of August 13th, 73 cents. Revenue guidance might be the most impressive thing. It came in very strong. The midpoint's around 61 billion. That's versus 59.5 billion was expected. Everything I ever said about Apple is coming 100% true. For the last year or two on this channel, I told people that ASPs are going to explode. That's going to explode Apple's profitability. People said no one would buy $1,000 smartphones. I said, you are crazy if you think no one's going to buy $1,000 smartphones. And iPhone 10's the top smartphone all around the world, okay? It doesn't matter if it's $1,000. If it has the specs for it and people love that type of device, they're going to pay $1,000 for it. People said no one would do it. It's coming true, okay? I said EPS would explode not only because ASP is going up, I said because they're buying back a ton of shares, and that's exactly what's happening. It's even better than I expected. I never expected them to hit a 40% number. I expected it to be maybe 20 to 30%. 40%, it's even blowing away what I expected this company to do, okay? So unbelievable company. So now I want to give you my take on Apple, if I'm going to buy any shares, sell any shares, or anything like that. Alrighty guys, so now for my take on these earnings in full. First off, am I going to sell shares? Absolutely not. I do not own any shares in my particular accounts. However, my wife's biggest position by far and away is Apple, all right? Now, am I going to go out there and buy Apple shares? No, and I will tell you for two reasons. Really, one's a main reason, one's a minor reason, okay? The first reason why I'm not going to go out there and buy Apple shares tomorrow is because I already have a massive position in a company named Cirrus Logic. Cirrus Logic is a semiconductor supplier, and their main customer by far and away that they get 80% plus of their revenue from is Apple, okay? So I already have an indirect play on Apple stock and Apple's success going forward. Basically, if Apple falters and it goes through tough times, guess who else is doing it? Cirrus Logic, okay? If Apple's on the up and up, their business is going great as it is now, Cirrus Logic stock gets pushed up and up and up, okay? So I already have a huge position in a company that is very reliant on Apple's success, all right? So if I was to buy Apple stock in my accounts, it's already kind of like a duplicating process. And once again, my wife's biggest position by far and away is Apple, all right? So for me, I'm not going to go out there and buy it. Also, I think, and this is a minor reason, but I think in my opinion at least, I think Apple numbers will be hard to impress throughout 2019. I think 2019 numbers, we're going to lap over these unbelievable service numbers, over these unbelievable ASP numbers in iPhone 10, and I think the numbers will be somewhat hard to impress, which may be, give some discounts out there in Apple stock because everybody might go through the same thing that they always go through with Apple. Oh my gosh, Apple can't grow. Imagine if iPhone units go down next year. Everybody's going to be like, oh my gosh, Apple's done. The same blah, blah, blah comes out as always, okay? That's a strong possibility. So in my opinion, I'm not desperate to add Apple shares here because it's already my wife's biggest position by far and away. So I'm already benefiting there. I already have a massive stake in Cirrus Logic, which I'm benefiting there. So in my opinion, I have a lot of good places to put money out there. And also, I've changed my opinion as far as what's the easiest stock to make money in over the next 5 years. I said it was Apple for a long time. Just this past week, I changed it up and I said now Facebook is the easiest money to make in over the next 5 years. So in my opinion, do I want to buy Apple stock here or Facebook? I'm going to be acquiring more Facebook because I, only have what, a $10,000 position-ish, in that company, and I believe that's the easiest money to be made over the next 5 years. But also, and one more thing I think is going to start to be viewed in Apple's respect, and I've talked about this for the past year or two. I think people are going to realize that Apple is not just a commodity device, that these type of things are replacement cycles, and it's going to start getting valued like a Johnson & Johnson, a Procter & Gamble or something around an 18 or 20 PE. It is not valued there right now. I mean, if you look at the forward PE on this company, it's a 14, 15, somewhere around there. Eventually, they're going to have to start be valued because people understand like services are recurring revenue. If somebody's iPhone breaks, iPad breaks, Mac breaks, they go buy another one. It's the replacement cycles. And never mind that, there's a wild card out there. Maybe in 2020 we could have a 5G iPhone. We don't know 100% on that yet, but whenever that 5G iPhone hits, that's going to be the next major vector for the stock to explode higher. So a lot of exciting things there. You know, we're going to make a lot of money off this stock. We will continue to make a lot of money off this stock, and I'm very happy and very thankful, you know, that it continues to perform well. But anyways, I want to hear from you guys out there. What is your opinion on Apple stock or any of the stocks that we mentioned here today? Thank you for watching. Have a great day.